If you are listening to this story after midnight, alone, with the lights dim or completely off, stop for a moment and listen carefully, because the moment you pressed play, something already began. Something that does not wait for permission and does not forgive curiosity. And that is exactly how the Horror Dream channel spreads, quietly, patiently, seeping into the lives of those who are tired, lonely, or unable to sleep. First noticed in late 2020 when users across the United States reported the same strange experience of YouTube autoplay freezing on a black screen with no thumbnail, no comments, no visible creator, only a single line of text in the description reading, "Visit the Horror Dream channel for terrifying tales." A phrase that meant nothing at first but lodged in the mind like the edge of a half-remembered nightmare. And one of those users was Michael Reeves, a 34-year-old sound designer from Seattle who worked nights and slept during the day. A man who filled silence with noise because silence reminded him of fragments of his childhood he had long tried to forget. And when the video began there was no music, no jump scare, only a low static hum that felt alive and warm, crawling along the edges of his consciousness, followed by a calm voice that said, "You found us because you were already listening," which made Michael smile nervously until the voice continued by listing things it could not have known. The dent in his headphones, the unopened letter on his kitchen counter, the recurring dream where he walks endlessly down a hallway that grows longer with each step, the echo of a laugh he never remembered, the shadow of a figure in his closet as a child, the exact time he had once heard a whisper through the walls at night, the pattern of his favorite coffee mug stacked unevenly in the cabinet, the exact number of cracks in his bedroom ceiling, the sensation of being watched at the grocery store and at the bus stop, the names of people he had once met and forgotten, memories that were not his own but felt intimately familiar, and unease settled into his chest, a weight that he could not shake. And when he tried to click away, the screen displayed a rule written slowly as if typed in real time. Do not exit, do not pause, do not look away. And when he glanced toward his darkened bedroom, the sound shifted, heavier, closer, like someone breathing directly into his ears, and the voice explained that Horror Dream was not entertainment but documentation, an archive of fear collected from real people at the exact moment they realized they were no longer alone. And as the video played, grainy footage appeared of strangers crying, whispering, begging, some staring directly into the camera as if they could see the viewer, some mouthing words without sound, some disappearing mid-frame into darkness, some running across hallways that stretched impossibly long, doors opening to rooms that should not exist, mirrors reflecting scenes behind him that were not there. And every face seemed faintly familiar, like people he had passed on the street, reflected briefly in bus windows, or glimpsed through train doors, and over the next several nights he could not stop watching as the channel uploaded new videos without notification, each one starting earlier in the evening, each one growing more personal, predicting his thoughts before he had them, finishing his sentences, showing dreams before he dreamed them, displaying fleeting memories of his childhood no one else could know, capturing moments from his day before they happened, showing his apartment from angles impossible to achieve, sometimes hovering near the ceiling, sometimes outside his window, sometimes inside the closet he had left unlocked, and when he rushed home in panic. Nothing seemed physically wrong, yet the feeling of being watched never left, shadows lingering longer than they should, reflections blinking out of sync, the soft whisper of static filling the room, and the channel explained gently that fear changes perception, perception creates openings, and openings are how Horror Dream enters because it feeds on attention, belief, on the quiet moment when someone chooses to keep watching even though every instinct screams to stop. And as days passed, Michael noticed people forgetting him, coworkers repeating conversations they had already had, friends failing to recognize his voice on the phone, the channel reassuring him that this was normal, that he was being archived, preserved forever as part of the collection. And when he searched for others who had mentioned Horror Dream, he found only broken links, deleted accounts, and a single cached message reading, "If it knows your fear, it will finish the episode." And then the videos began showing things he had never told anyone, childhood fears he had buried, secret thoughts he had never spoken, moments of panic he thought no one had noticed, regrets he had pushed deep down, the exact positions of his furniture, the timing of when he left for work, the precise sound of his breathing, the way he hesitated in doorways, the memories of dreams that felt like warnings, the faces of strangers who had once smiled at him on the street and then vanished, the whispering voices he sometimes thought he imagined, the cold spots in rooms he rarely entered, the lingering scent of old perfume that he had not smelled in years, the soft scratch of nails along the wooden floor in his apartment when no one was there, and the recordings whispered them back with precision as though the channel had been listening to him for decades, until at night the static hum became almost musical, whispers forming sentences that chilled him to the bone, shadows moving independently of the light, once a figure standing just out of focus in his hallway, and when he blinked, it was closer, sometimes inches from him, sometimes at the corner of his vision, until he tried leaving the apartment, disconnecting entirely, but the channel still followed him, not online, not on any device, but in mirrors, reflections, the way his own breathing sounded wrong, in the faint scratching at the walls at night, the faint image in windows as he passed, until finally, one evening, a final video appeared, titled only with his full name and the exact moment he had first clicked play, and he watched himself sitting in his chair, listening exactly as you are now, frozen in the frame, while the voice whispered its final instruction, "Invite the next listener," and somewhere, sometime later, a tired person scrolling late at night saw a black video appear on their screen, felt an unexplainable pull, the description reading the same familiar phrase, "Visit the Horror Dream channel for terrifying tales," and pressed play, curiosity outweighing fear, unaware that Horror Dream does not need permission, only attention, only belief, and that by the time you have read this far, it already knows you are there, and somewhere beyond the screen, it waits, patient, for the moment you look away, for the silence you cannot ignore, for the hesitation between curiosity and terror, because Horror Dream feeds on that moment, it feeds on you, and it is always watching, always listening, always growing, and the next time you hear a whisper behind you in a dark room, the static hum in your headphones, or catch a reflection that moves when you do not, remember this. Curiosity was the key, and now it has entered, quietly, patiently, and it is impossible to leave.